Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud.
And Scott Allwood.
And this is episode 14 of Vendettas Never Die. And I just want to say right off the bat, this is once again a very deceiving title because I'm like, Vendettas Never Die seems like a final episode to me. It was not.
Yeah, because they left you on a cliffhanger.
Jesus Christ. So alienating. This show has become so almost exclusive to people that have been there from the beginning. You know what I mean? It's very hard to just jump into any part of the seasons anymore, you know?
Right. Because then, yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I agree. I liked the episode a lot, though. It had a really cool final.
Yeah.
It was very different.
It was different. It was different. It was different in some places. It was once again annoying because they had the game with the swords and you had to verse each other. But then they were like, "This is pointless. Why are we doing
really
this?
Made me mad.
Let's just focus on the big picture." Which I've been screaming at the top of my lungs the entire season. I'm like, "Stop attacking each other for personal bullshit," you know. But they didn't know any better, you know. So I don't know. I didn't like it as much, I think, as you did, is what I'm getting at right now.
There was a lot of stuff that was silly and stupid that kind of led nowhere. But just overall, I just really enjoy it. You never really knew who was going to be in the lead or who was winning. It was kind of like this, you could come back at any moment. But then there was also stuff that was purposely hurting certain cast members as to why. Why do that?
Yeah.
It's like they just didn't want them people to win.
Oh, yeah. We're once again dealing with, like, I mean, I think you're referring to the mercenaries scenario where I'm like, mercenaries get paid for this shit. So as soon as they eliminated Shane, Joss, they should have got all that money, right? And B, cool. Mercenaries aren't biased. They don't know their target typically, you know. That's why they're mercenaries. They're cold-blooded. They have their what do you call it? Ronin. They have no nation. They have no flag. They don't give a shit. They're in for the fucking money. So Bananas and Melissa coming back are not mercenaries. I don't know. It was really a thorn in my what do they call it? Craw? I don't know. All right, so let's dive into it. I just want to start off at the house because they're talking to each other before they have to go on to the actual final, and there's some personal things and whatever. But the only thing that I wrote down was Tony and Leroy because, I don't know, Leroy had the line of like, you know, they were like, you know, you did me wrong. But then he also said in his confessional, this has not been a fun season for me, and I thought of you, Scott, immediately because you mentioned how like he had such a cushy season for the past couple seasons where no one calls him in until the very end, and then he throws a fit. You know what I mean? And he's always dealing.
Yeah, like how are you not having the best time?
Yeah,
You don't have to worry about anything for the most part. You just get to compete in missions, but I guess he hasn't been winning anything, so that would be frustrating.
Yeah. But that has nothing to do with Tony doing what he did and shit. Like, I don't know. This will carry on throughout the entire episode. We'll also see
I wrote down
Bananas and shit.
I wrote down a few lines that they had back and forth because it made me laugh. Tony's like, "All right, yeah, but can you retract your statement of calling me a bitch?" And Leroy's like, "Well, do you feel like a bitch?" And Tony's like, "No." And he's like, Leroy goes, "I call it like I see it." And I'm like, man, he is being such an asshole just because he threw him into elimination. Like,
oh, totally. Yeah, it's, I don't know. We'll deal with that later. I mean, the weird thing about watching this is that, honestly, I felt like this was the final. Like, I woke up early in the morning, put this on. I even drank an energy drink, which I've kind of cut out of my life recently, where I'm like, no, none of that shit. That's awful for me. But I'm like, yeah, I'm going to celebrate. I want to be all stoked and ready and ripped. And I drank the energy drink, thinking this was the final at, like, 5:45 in the morning, something like that. And everything that all the information coming towards me, I was like, yeah, Leroy is being annoying, but he's not going to win. And then he had chances to win, especially with Bananas being the mercenary. where I'm like, oh fuck, Leroy's gonna win. But even with all that, he doesn't win. Spoiler alert. I just want to jump to that right away. But I don't know. It was such an interesting experience this morning, is what I'm saying. I don't know. Even with the energy drink, I didn't enjoy this episode. I guess because you did. I did.
All right.
Um,
That's usually how it goes.
should we get into the final? Because that's out of all the personal stuff pre-final, that's all I wrote down.
I thought it was interesting to see the money. They kind of laid out the money, who had what. Tony had 39,000. Zach had 37. Nicole had 23. Kayla had 20. Cam had 19. Kyle had 10. Cara had 8, and Leroy had 0. So I thought there was just such a big difference between everybody, pretty much.
Oh yeah, huge difference.
And Leroy, dude, the first thing that happened that made me laugh so much, Leroy's all about, I just want to get to the final. I just want to get to the final. I don't give a shit about all this. I don't care if I have any money. I'll just get to the final and win money because I'm going to win money no matter what. And then he's like, oh, shit, if I don't win this little stage, I don't get any money. Like, because he was dead set on thinking that he was going to get like $5,000 or something at least. But nope.
Is this the first time where
TJ says
you
no.
don't get money that in the final?
Well, there was 8 people, so I could see why they didn't. Because what are they going to have 8 different prizes?
Oh, okay, yeah. I get no. Well, I still, it didn't rub me the right way. It was really just like, listen, this is the first time you get to a final, and you're getting paid no matter what, unless you get like last place, like in fresh meat, like there's first, second, and third. But if you get fourth, you get nothing. But the fact that they earned money throughout the season, yeah, extremely.
I think that they should have got. Everyone should have got that. They all technically got to the final, and they put a lot of hard work into winning that money. It just deemed pointless to be giving out money and bank accounts if you didn't get to keep it.
Yeah, and that's strike number 1, Scott. For me, like as soon as that happened, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you gotta get paid. But we're not even going about this chronologically. Let's start off when they get to the final. There's a badass castle. I kind of like the setting, I guess. I liked it, because they have armor, medieval armor and shit like that. And do you want to explain the final before TJ brings in the mercenaries, or what do you want to do? Because you like to explain this shit, where I'm like,
I don't like to. You just always make me. There's so much going on in this final. I feel like just explaining it is gonna take so long. But so yeah, I guess we can just talk about how John and Melissa walk out. They're all standing there, and TJ's like, oh, if you lose to one of these guys, something's gonna happen, and if you win, nothing happens. I don't know. We don't get the full explanation until we get to John, so maybe we should just wait. But we already covered how it was just why gives players such a huge disadvantage, i.e. Tony, but a lot of this doesn't even play out with the mercenaries.
It does with Cam. Holy shit, does it affect Cam?
Yeah, one person. Yeah, it totally made her lose. So it was really fucked up that no one else got it. And some of those cards, when they were placing them down, I was like, did they shuffle these cards? How are they getting so many 2s and queens?
That was so awful. Just the card layout. I'm like, it's just way high and way low. Every once in a great while, we got a 5 or a 6, It was ridiculous. It was like I was laughing and rolling my eyes at the same time. I'm like, this is like, what are you guys doing? Okay, but with Bananas and Melissa coming in, I guess I stated it before, where it's like, it doesn't make any sense how these mercenaries can have a personal grudge. Like they've been eliminated already. They're pissed off at one of those particular people. That is so unfair. It should go without saying, but I just want to state it out loud because I feel like some fans are just like lapdogs for Bananas or lapdogs for a particular person. You know what I mean? Where like they don't really think about this shit. until it's spoken out loud to them. So I don't know. I had to do it.
Some people are just blindly watching while we're sitting in here putting in the work with thinking. Those stupid viewers.
You stupid ass viewers. Oh my god. You are lucky to hear our thoughts. No. Okay, so that's bullshit right away. So I'm like, oh man, that's strike one. Or was that strike two? I don't remember. I lost count. But then there's another twist. TJ says there's only room for 2 guys and 2 girls in stage 2. And right away, okay, and then this goes back to like, if you don't get into stage 2, you don't get any money. I didn't know what to think. I just knew I was annoyed. How do you feel about this? They've done something similar to this in Rivals 2, but people kept their money. They just couldn't win. Remember Jordan, Marlon, Camilla, Jemmy, Rivals 2? Do you remember that?
Right.
How do you feel about this?
I think it was stupid. They're like doing it just to be, I don't know, a twist or something. Like, oh, you guys don't get to keep that money you earned. But it's really not doing anyone any favors. It's making the viewers mad. Like, why don't they get to keep the money? It's making the challengers mad. It's like one producer's going, hee. I'm making all these things that are crazy, and that one person is enjoying it.
It's what it seems to me is that they're trying to be sleight of hand, tricky, trying to impress a very small portion of people who have still stuck around. You know what I mean? A lot of people who have watched this for a long time are like, what the fuck is this? What are you doing? So like they're turned off by it. But then even if new people tune in, they're like, what's going on? They would tune, if they tuned into episode 14, Vendettas Never Die, you would watch a final apparently where right before someone's about to win, credits start to roll and then the episode stops. There's not even a to be continued. You know what I mean? Like what is a new viewer supposed to think? So I just think of like the producers are just this hack magician performing for an audience of 6. You know what I mean? In some dingy fucking bar, you know, and everyone's smoking cigarettes like, this is horrible. You know what I mean? But whatever. You know, the jukebox is broke, so what the fuck else am I supposed to entertain me? You know what I mean? So it's just, I just felt all this stuff in the morning, Scott. I'm sorry. I had a rough morning.
You need to start watching this show at night.
Maybe
or something.
I should.
It's starting your day off bad.
Okay, and then, so let's just start off with the first lap. And they're going to be shackled, their ankles shackled together by medieval chains, which I could appreciate, honestly. I'm like, no, I'm actually a huge fan of like the medieval style and fashion and shit like that. The mythos, you know?
Yeah, I just thought it was completely different, too. It wasn't some stupid ass running up a mountain at the end. It was kind of all set within this castle-like style. It was just very fun and different. I don't know what else to say besides that. I just really enjoyed it for that fact. Like they actually did something different that I enjoyed, but there was a lot of stupid shit in there.
Yeah.
So
you could enjoy some parts, but it's very just like peaks and valleys, you know. So the first portion is the torturer grenade, whatever it was called. But basically, this is a redo of the pallet, that thrilling pallet mission where you're supposed to take pallets, bring it to the other end of a field, and drop it off. But you guys could steal each other's pallets, and Cara Maria could bitch at you the entire time. That's what Cara Maria did before. She's doing it again, and but this time it's just torches. I don't know. This was weird. I don't know.
It's weird how they went about doing this. I would never. Like, it's crazy that it actually made these challengers stupid enough to try to take the torches from the other person. It's like, what do you want to be doing this all day? This is ridiculous. No, just stay in your lane. I will mention that there was they had to run through a bunch of mud, and it was really. Having to run through mud with your leg shackled. Your leg shackled is already going to be hard enough, and then to go through all this gross mud was really fun to watch, actually. It would suck to be the challengers. But I will mention that Nicole fell at this point when she was running through that mud, and it really kind of destroys her whole final because she had to go through mud.
And in a way, it added some humanity to her, some relatability for me, because you know how I've been dogging on her the entire season. But we have this common thing that just happened between the two of us, me and Nicole. She twisted her ankle. She sprained her ankle. I have terrible ankles. Like, I've fucked up my ankles over the years where, like, it's like when a boxer has no chin anymore, he can get knocked out immediately now. My ankles just twist all the time now. It's so horrible. And it's, like, one of the worst feelings. So when that happened to Nicole, my heart went out to her. It was crazy. It was fucking crazy.
I really liked the moment just because seeing how badly she fucking wanted to win made me wish that she was okay to where she could just go and fucking win.
Yeah, but what does Cara Maria say? Oh, by the way, Nicole took one of Cara Maria's torches, and Cara Maria was bitching at her. But after she sprains her ankle, Cara Maria's like, some people deserve it. She started to sing, and I'm like, you are just awful, Cara Maria. Oh my God.
I was like, Jesus criminy. You wanted her to twist her ankle and go to the hospital because she took a torch from you, you stupid bitch.
It was so bad. But then another thing, I'm kind of building a case against Cara Maria this entire episode. She said that she's like, I don't want to betray anybody. I don't want to fuck anybody I want to play this thing clean. So I'm not going to take any torches. I just want to, rewind back to the pallet scenario where she did it first. And then, you know what I mean? So she doesn't want to do it, but then Nicole does it first, and then between the guys, it's Tony and it's Zach. He tells Tony, he's like, "Listen, we got to start stealing Leroy's shit, right?"
Great idea. Team up on him.
Because Zach is like, Bananas is gonna go easy on Leroy, So that was totally smart, right?
Yeah, I forgot about that specific moment because at first I was like, hell yeah, but then the way it turned out, I was super confused with how it didn't work out for him because there was two of them and then one of him, but he's like, Leroy still got his torches done before Tony.
What happened was Kyle the entire time was stealing from everybody. And to me, I was like, that is brilliant. That is, it's something, when you're in the final and you do something cool, that's worth way more points if you did anything before that during a mission or something like that. You know what I mean? In your daily life. So Kyle has actually got to really impress me this episode. I'm actually really going to turn for him because up until then, I'm like, it's just the accent. You know what I mean? Maybe what helped is that, did you hear him doing an American accent this episode?
I don't remember it.
Damn it! I wanted you to be like, yes, I heard that too, Vince. Me and you, we have a bond. No, he made this American accent when Zach was walking up. He's like, hello, walk up towards me, or something like that. You know what I mean? I'm like, that is so fucking cute. Like, that is so adorable that he was able to do a convincing American accent after I've been mistrusting him for the British accent. Some people like the British accent. Me, as a Native American, distrusts the British accent because those are the fuckers that fuck with us first. You know what I mean? Like, oh, take a blanket while we take your land and shit like that. I don't know. I don't know what I'm getting at, Scott. I feel like you should take the reins here. Do you have notes, by the way?
Yeah, I got.
You want to take over?
You've
I feel like I'm
kind of covering it. I'm like, man, he's talking about everything. What? Shut the hell up, Vince. Can I say? No, I'm just kidding. I was really impressed with Kyle too. What confused me is that Leroy got done second. Like, was he really just running that quickly, back and forth, more so than I don't know? But Kyle he just had so much energy. It's like he never got tired of running. He just kept going and going. But anyway, so he gets Kyle arrives first at the castle, and you can see like John in there not expecting it to be Kyle running down the stairs first. So I thought that was fun, but this turned out so strange because no one really knows what they're going down there to face Bananas in, and I was really confused. I mean, I just wish they would have. I mean, they could have easily. Anyway, the game is high and low, high or low. You flip over a card, and whatever that card is, you have to determine whether the next card is going to be higher or lower. Great drinking game.
Yes.
So they have to win 2 out of 3 times, and if they don't, if they lose, John and Melissa both have 3 grenades that they can use on the challenger. And I'm thinking they thought that more people were going to get hit with these grenades, but it just didn't turn out that way because the person, the mercenary, could either have them drink water, do some jumping jacks, or bury a log. And the hardest one, I mean, there was just like a bunch of water you would drink, or the jumping jacks. I don't know how many it was. But yeah, so Kyle wins that easily. There was a bunch of stupid cards. Hey, here's a 2. Oh, I wonder what the next card's going to be. What I'm surprised didn't happen was that, or maybe they just didn't show it. Sometimes in the game, you throw down a 6 and you'll be like, oh, that's definitely going to be higher or something. And then you get hit with another 6 and then you're fucked. So you immediately lose. But yeah, so he gets through that easily and then goes outside to where they now have to put on a suit of armor and then run in that armor.
That's awesome.
To the next spot, which I thought was really cool. And then, so Leroy gets there, Zach gets there. I just keep winning.
I wanted to mention real quick that when Kyle got there, Banana's like, "Hi, Kyle. The game is high or low. Have you heard of this? Okay, well, I'm going to flip," you know what I mean? And that's how he explains it. I'm like, it's so crazy that they gave Bananas lines, but it's fine. But when Leroy gets there, he's like, "Okay, it's high or low. Have you played this before?" And he's like so much more urgent explaining it to Leroy. It was hilarious. Oh my god.
I really don't like Leroy anymore. Or John for that matter, but I loved how close they've become. When he came down those stairs and they were like, "Yeah, man, what's up? Woo! Yeah, we're friends, we're buddies." I did enjoy that. Their bromance I liked in this moment. Typically I don't because they drive me fucking crazy the whole season, but that moment it was pretty nice.
You know, I want to add that the first line, like one of the first lines was Leroy was walking on the stairs and Banana's like, "My man," and Leroy's like, "They did me so bad, like they've been fucking with me this whole entire time." I was like, "Well, oh, you little crybaby, like go to your brother, your big brother or something like that." It's terrible.
And they really didn't do much to him. They put him in once.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. It is terrible. And you won because Brad's shit fell apart. Like, what the fuck, dude? Okay, now let's get to... okay, so it's Kyle, Leroy, Zach, Kara. So far, no one's gotten a grenade. So it's, like, very uneventful so far. I'm like, oh, this is terrible. And then Tony gets there. And I was like, I don't know. I felt uncomfortable. I felt a little awkward. I'm like, oh my god. You know what I mean? Tony comes down there. Banana's like, "Hey, you didn't think you'd see me here now, did you?" And Tony's like, "No, I didn't. You look good though." And it's just this weird like.
Yes.
But Tony actually does get one wrong. But he gets the next one wrong, so he's fine. He can continue. So I'm like, oh, nothing really paid off there. But Cam shows up, and she does end up failing, you know? And Melissa even fucking flips her off.
Dude, Cam was playing this game off. Has she never played high or low? You don't go high on certain cards or low on certain cards, and she was throwing out some wild answers to this high or low game, and so it's kind of her own fault for losing because she could have easily won these 2 rounds. I think the hardest card we saw was a 7.
Okay, so maybe she doesn't know how to play high or low, but it didn't matter because she just gave this great line how she like came down to the dungeon and she's like, and then I see Melissa there and I'm like, girl, I didn't know you lived out here and shit. You know, like, that fucking line was brilliant. But okay, so she gets it wrong. Melissa even fucking flips her off. Well, her back is turned, but Melissa says the grenade is going to be to bury a log. And I was like, that's oddly sexual, man. Like, I'll like, can it be me? Can it be my log with Cam and shit? That'd be great. It just seemed like it was such a...
And man, it's too bad no one else got a grenade because this really fucked Cam up. For her to be the only one to get a grenade, it is the reason why she did not place in the top 4. Because I don't think Kayla would have ended up beating her.
Yes. And did you notice that when Cam did get to the log digging part, there was like a dozen logs lined up in that field. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Oh my God, thank you. Because everything I ask her, you're like, I don't know.
It's like, what the hell are you talking about? Did we watch the same episode?
I am so glad that you confirmed at least one thing. Oh my God. Okay. But yeah, when they're running in armor, again, that's cool. Like, I fucking like medieval armor, so that's badass. Although, some people have like a dumbass helmet. Like, give them badass helmet armor and shit, you know?
How funny was it when Kayla was trying to put the armor on? Like, she could not figure it out. At one point, she puts a sleeve on her arm and just lets it drop because it's not staying. She's just pissed. It was incredibly fun to watch that.
Yeah, and she starts to break down, kind of. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so all I have written down for this next thing, this was actually really annoying. You get there.
Oh, my God. This was the most frustrating part of the episode for me. Kyle has a huge-ass lead and then has to sit there and wait for the next person
Leroy
to come so he can play this game. And it's such a stupid game.
Well, yeah, because everyone is just like, fuck it. Like, just pull the swords. Let's get through this. Every player realizes that this is so fucking stupid. Oh, my God. It kind of reminded me of the bees in Invasion. But yeah, go on.
I don't even necessarily know how to play the game because no one was even playing it. They were just... to me, it was just, hey, pick up these swords, put them in a barrel. If you win, you can give someone hot chocolate cheese or spicy tripe soup.
Is that what it was? Tripe? What's tripe? Is that fish?
That's a good question. Listen, I paused the screen and everything so I could have the actual name of this soup, and then you go and call me out on it and ask me what it is.
That's very true. I'm sorry.
I should have just put spicy soup.
So
it's
cheese, tripe soup, and chocolate. One of these things is way better than the other thing. That was so bizarre. Why even have chocolate as an option?
Well, it was hot chocolate.
Bullshit. Bullshit. No way. I call bullshit. There's no way that shit's going to stay warm out there.
Oh, yeah, I was just about to say, there's no way it was hot.
Yeah, because did you see, like, while TJ was saying, like, this is the final and shit like that, like, the women are just, like, shivering and, like, clenching themselves, you know? I noticed so much shit in this fucking... Every time I watch, I'm like, overburdened with knowledge. Like, I'm so sensitive to everything.
You got a good eye, Vince.
It's a curse, I tell you. You got to make a podcast for like less than 100 views a week. All right, so after Kyle versus Leroy, Kyle ends up winning, and Leroy says, "Go eat the cheese." But it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, he could have gave him chocolate, but Kyle says, "It's not easy being cheesy." Now that is like one of the cheesiest lines I've ever heard. But again, it just won me over.
We're seeing so much more life in Kyle in this episode. If he would have been like this the entire show, like with these little one-liners and kind of just, I don't know. I didn't even care if Kyle was going to be on the next season, but now I'm like, yeah, dude, come on back. He's a little more comfortable now. He just gets it.
He really just kind of peaked at the very fucking end. Well, no, it's not the fucking end because we have another episode after this. All right, so Leroy is in the lead. Kyle eats the cheese. Next is Zach. He has to wait for the next person. Again, this is so terrible. This is such a terrible idea. This gave me flashbacks of Duel 2. Remember when Mark got completely fucked over by Anissa?
Oh yeah.
Damn, we don't need that to happen again. That is so nuts. Do you think they hire producers who have seen the show before? Who the fuck did they hire? Hire you? I say hire Scott Allwood. He's produced 20 seasons, right? No, actually, isn't it like 21 technically? Because didn't you lose a season where like fucking Cole, my fucking favorite, finally won and it never aired?
There was 3 episodes that I did complete. The 4th episode is the computer crashed,
That's what it was.
So I didn't have the footage anymore. So yeah, he was not happy with me about that.
All I have to ask is, why couldn't this happen with Vendettas? We're like, oh shit, all our fucking footage of this final is fucked, you know?
No way, because then we wouldn't see Kyle being a badass.
That's true. He's not being a badass. He's just being silly and entertaining to me. He's not badass at all.
Hey, we both had different definitions for badass, all right?
Yeah? All right. So Zach has to wait for Cara Maria. They get there, and Cara Maria's like, fuck this game. Pull all the swords out. And then Zach wins, gives Cara Maria the chocolate.
Yeah, he's like, I don't care who wins this. Let's just get this shit done, and then you can give me cheese. I'll give you hot chocolate. I don't care.
Now imagine, had Zach known that anyone could win, and the fact that, fast forward, it's between Zach and Cara Maria for the grand prize, maybe he should have said,
that decision's gonna haunt him.
Eat that tripe soup, right?
Right. So then Tony literally has to sit there and wait forever for Kayla. He's like, dude, she's like a miles back. There's no way. Like, I'm fucked.
Yeah, he knew it.
So she gets there, and then they kind of just get it over with. And then what made me laugh so much, Tony takes the sword and extends it over to Kayla and says, I am telling you to drink hot chocolate. And he taps her, he pokes her with the sword. I was just like, man, I've grown to like Tony so much over this season.
Me too, man. Me too. That's why it's going to be so heartbreaking in a couple of minutes. And then Cam finally gets there, but she doesn't have to verse anyone. In fact, all she has to do is just pick up swords and put it in a barrel.
Yeah. The producers at that point was like, listen, just put the fucking swords in the barrel. I don't care.
This felt like community service. Pick up all these swords, can you? Along the highway? Thank you.
Can you actually put them into this truck? Forget the barrel. Just put them in the truck for us so we don't have to pick up these swords.
That would have been awesome. Oh, my God. Okay, so now next is Leroy is passed by both Kyle and Zach. Leroy is like, you know what? I think he said, like, the fact that they pass... No, he said, they don't just pass me, they run past me. I don't know what I'm saying. But then he's like, my energy is zapped. My will, everything is just gone from then on out. And spoilers, this is how he gets third place.
Yeah, it was just, again, Kyle and Zach were acting like all they do is run. I'm surprised we've seen them walk at all this season with how much they're comfortable with just running all the time right now.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, there was actually a song right here that I like so much that they played that I was like, oh, I got to write this down. Vince will appreciate this. Do you, Vince? Do you appreciate it?
What is it? What is it?
The Siege, Run for Your Life. I was just like, yeah, run. So fast.
Yeah, I don't know what to say anymore, Scott. I really don't. It's just, if this is what you think, like on the way to podcast with you, you're like, Vince will appreciate this. You clearly don't know me yet, Scott. It's been almost an entire season. Maybe, you know what? Maybe you'll peak next episode. I did it for you. Okay. Besides Leroy getting passed, and this is how he gets third place, Tony is going to get fourth place because he's tired. He's walking after that. After he waited for Kayla,
I think at that point he had waited so long that he was just like, "There's no fucking way I can catch up to these guys at this point." Plus, I mean, honestly, having to run so much with with the shackles and then the armor, and having to sit around that long, it probably took a lot out of him. Because it's a lot of what I feel Kyle is succeeding at is just getting there, getting stuff done, boom, gone, boom, this, that, boom. He's staying in constant stride. And Tony had such a huge gap.
Yeah, so you're speaking of like adrenaline. Like it's like when you see like joggers, you know, when they stop at like a red light, they're not just standing there smoking a cigarette.
Right.
Fuck this shit, man. They're actually jogging in place usually, right? Because it's better for you overall for your like adrenaline and shit like that, right? Forget it. Forget that I asked you anything. Don't even bother to try and answer that, Scott. Moving on. I'm about to learn my lesson here. Okay, so we're going to get into the stage 2 participants. The first person to cross overall is Zach, and he gets to keep his $35,000. Good for him.
Nice haul.
What?
That was a nice haul, like, you know.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. Vince hates me, everybody.
Kyle shows up, and like, okay, now that it's officially between Zach and Kyle, I mean, I'm just, between the guys, even though it's pointless. It's so crazy to think that he's there, that he's in the running, you know?
Yeah, when you first watched this season start with all the people there, just never would have expected Kyle would be one of the last people.
Although the whole time, the season, the competitors have always said, like, he's not real. He's faking it. He's not this terrible and blah, blah, blah. So we should have all known by now because throughout the season, people just saying, like, this is an act and shit like that, you know? By the way, I want to throw this out right now because I remember watching this when I was writing the notes, like about an hour or so ago, where I'm like, I just realized that Kyle has done the majority, I want to say like 90% of his confessionals wearing the same thing, probably after he just ran the final. He's wearing like this blue denim coat with like some furry collar or whatever, and his bandana. He's worn that throughout the majority of his confessionals. And it's always interesting to me, like, I don't know, it's just interesting to me that someone sat down and told the story of an entire season in one sitting.
Well, you know that's a trick, right? They have them wear the same stuff every time.
No, it isn't. Are you kidding me? Is that real?
Yeah, that's real. So they do the confessionals every other day. They just have to wear the same stuff.
But they wear people wear other clothing. They don't always just wear the one thing. I believe you, by the way.
But the producers like them to do that so that if they want to use something they said, like during the beginning of the season, they could bring it back for the end of the season. That kind of stuff. That's why I was questioning Zach's comment about Brad when he was leaving. I was like, did he really say that recently? Because he didn't seem to have much animosity towards him towards the end when they're all hanging out and whatnot. So I wondered if they had brought it back from the beginning of the season where he did.
Wow.
And he was saying a lot of mean stuff.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's crazy. I'm not going to ask you how you know this. I'm just going to... Or is this a vicious challenge thing where you just had all your players wear the same?
Yeah, I just do it on my show, so I assumed everyone else did it. No, I just read it somewhere, I think.
All right. The third person to cross, male or female, doesn't matter, is Leroy. But he's still... What I'm getting at right now, the fact that Leroy's the third person to cross...
He should have been in the top 4.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much right now. Because if Cara would have crossed after Leroy, then that's fourth person. If Sexist doesn't have anything to do with it, it's just... I'm just so broke. I'm trying to feel better about it, but I'm like... It should have been those top 4. Zach, Kyle, Leroy, and Cara. But they were like, no, it's top 2 guys, top 2 girls. So, Tony, you're fucked. uh, when Tony crosses the line, the finish line, TJ is like, "Hey man, you look great this season, but you're out of here, right?" That's about as much as he says, and Tony says thank you, and that's a genuine thank you because Tony knows that he's done right. He really should have won. Compare that apology with losing to when TJ talks to Leroy. Leroy crosses the finish line, and TJ like gives him a handshake. He's putting his hand on Leroy's shoulder. He's just saying, bro, you know, just like laying all this praise on Leroy. And I'm like, oh, man, you guys are fucking friends outside of this because TJ and Bananas are friends. TJ and Sarah are friends outside of this thing. I'm so sick of biased TJ, but I don't know. And then Kayla crosses. Good for her. She's going to be in the final, the real final against Carmaria. And then Cam crosses. She's not going to get anywhere. All her money has gone to waste. I was a huge fan of Cam going into this. This was the one person I really was kind of rooting for. And she's dead last. And it's tragic. Had to bury a log. Wasn't cock. Wasn't my cock, Scott. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention to you, Scott, that I have another co-host, and he's called Zach. Zach something.
You don't care what our names are. You just spew out whatever. I'm surprised you even remember my name. You make me say it every goddamn time, so you remember.
Okay, now, after Tony crossed the line, and he's, like, leaving and shit, Leroy is saying, like, I'm so glad that this happened to you guys, especially Tony. He's like, you know what, Tony? You're not only are you going to leave here with no money, but no one is going to trust you. Basically, Bananas without money. You know what I mean? Like, no one should trust Bananas after the countless shit that he's done, especially against Sarah, but he got the money. And to me, that's who Leroy is. He sees the money. He's won over by Bananas. I don't know. Bananas is in this episode, and when he showed up, I wanted to laugh. You know what I mean? But I was too busy rolling my eyes. But had I been in that final and they brought Bananas in again after he's been eliminated, I would have pointed and laughed at both Bananas, TJ, and the producers, and Leroy, where I'm like, you guys are fucking in love with this motherfucker, and it's pathetic. Like, it really is. I don't know. So much passion coming from me, Scott. Scott, you take over from here. What's next?
All right, so the second stage is a little game called Memory Smash, and it's so weird that they even have this second stage when it's just going to be a memory game. They have a board of colors, and they have to memorize this board, and then they run into the castle, and then put these little it looks fun as hell, put these little color palettes in the correct spot. And this is probably why they had the 2 girls, 2 guys, just so they could have that last twist of being able to say, "Ah, you guys didn't know this, but anyone can win. Only one of you, though."
How did you feel when TJ actually dropped the bombshell? Did you feel like it was effective? Did you feel like, no, this is way too late? What'd you think?
Way too late. It's a waste of a twist if they do it so late into the game, I feel, because it's the same with the $1 million on Dirty 30. Had they said that, people would be playing completely different games the entire season, and that would have been a lot more interesting to watch.
He could have said this right before the finals started. Imagine that fucking passion coming from the competitors. But the fact that he said it afterwards, after beloved challengers just left, Cam, Tony, fucking Leroy. People love Leroy still, you know, not me, but like fucking people do. And it was just so terrible. But go on. I didn't want to cut you off, Scott. Go on.
I don't remember why, but Zach and Kara got a 30-second head start, which is everything in this game. So it's like they wanted one of them to win. I don't know, because like you said, it was getting to the point where it was just essentially between those two people, and the 30 seconds killed Kayla and Kyle's times. They weren't. I mean, the way they edited it made it seem like it made all the difference. Kyle and Kayla could have just really been shitting the bed. Then the credits start rolling. And
holy shit.
Previews for next week pop up. Find out the winner, and it's the reunion. Yay!
Is it? Like, I don't, I watched this on YouTube, so I can't see the full episode, like, including the stuff after the credits, like previews and shit. Is it going to be to the reunion?
Yeah, they'll show the rest of this episode, and then it's going to be the reunion, and it's a 2-parter reunion.
Jesus Christ. Okay, well, wait a minute. So next week will be the rest of the episode shown at the reunion, or what?
You know, it just might directly go to the reunion. I think they're doing a thing to where they're not going to show the winner until the end of the reunion again.
Did you like that last year?
No.
I don't know why I expect to trip you up. I'm like, I bet he fucking liked it just so I could attack you. But you're just like, no, you're like, I feel the same way about this show as you do, Vince. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be on this thing. I feel like I am like TJ. I'm completely biased, man. You know what I mean? Like, I hate TJ. I hate Leroy. I hate the show.
Hey, if I was doing this podcast for 3 years too, I'd probably hate it now. But I get some time away from it.
You ever hear the story about where the depressed guy goes to the doctor and he's like, I feel terrible, and the doctor's like, yeah, well, why don't you see this clown who's coming to town? He'll cheer you right up, and he's like, but doctor, I am that clown. I am that clown, Scott. This show really, like, this particular episode cut off before they even showed a winner or showed the ending of the final. With Dirty 30, they showed people crossing the line, the finish line, but them finishing the line and then not telling us the winner in a weird, fucked up way. I understand that. But not showing someone win with, like, literally seconds to go is, I don't know how to explain it. Is that cyberbullying? Is that anti-Semitism? It just hurts, Scott, is what I'm saying. I'm just like, this is awful. Why'd they do this to us, Scott?
I will agree that the show has become less fun to watch because you sit there and you're watching it, and then you're like, okay, I guess I could talk about this. This seems like an important moment. I'm thinking too much about the show when I was already kind of thinking a lot about the show because I did my own thing. So I'm always kind of thinking a little more about it. And now it's just to the point where it's exhausting watching the show because of the thought that has to go into these goddamn notes and knowing that I'll be dissecting it with you. You've ruined my love for the challenge, Vince.
Going back to a small little detail, I'm surprised you didn't mention this, Scott. At the very end, it was Zach and Cara Maria. Zach was like, check this. And they're like, no, you have something wrong. In a puzzle of memory, you should have 2 things wrong, shouldn't you? But all they did was say, you have 1 purple dot wrong. And I'm like, how is that possible with a memory game? I thought it was all like you just rearrange it to be the same color. Were there extra tiles that wasn't supposed to be on there? Because both Zach and Cara had 1 purple dot wrong.
Just had the 1. That is a good question.
It does.
I have no fucking clue. I didn't watch closely enough for when they were running up to the board to see if there was any extras up top that they could swap in and out. That could be the case. Otherwise, I think I think it was easier to edit just showing 1 mistake. I don't know.
Take the split second to show the other half of that mistake. It doesn't make any sense. Oh my God. Scott, you know what? I'm dying. I'm on my deathbed. I'm like, Scott, you must carry on. You have to do the show now.
And now and then I just murder us both.
Whoa. Very Game of Thrones. Did that happen in Game of Thrones? I thought it was just incest. We're not related, Scott. All right, you know what? This seems like the best time to cut off. I want you guys to like, subscribe, comment. We'll see you guys at the reunion, I guess. This was Battle of the Challengers podcast with Vincent Cloud
And Scott Allwood.